Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast. Now, I've got a great guest for everyone listening today because there's so much talk about the Great Resignation at the moment, isn't there? And Ahmed Khan is the CEO of a company called Kajabi, which, if you don't know, is an all-in-one platform for knowledge entrepreneurs and creators, and it helps them build, market, and sell educational content. And I mentioned the Great Resignation because right now millions of people are leaving their jobs to start their own business. However, according to the US Bureau of Labour Statistics, I read yesterday that 20% of those businesses will fail within the first year. And those that do survive the first year are not likely to turn a significant profit for quite some time, if ever. But this got me thinking, people don't need to leave their job and have all their eggs in the new business basket. In the same way they don't need all their eggs in their current job basket either. There is something that you can do in between. What if people could keep their day jobs and in their spare time monetize their expertise without any of the risk of losing time and capital expenditure, etc.? Well, this is exactly what Kajabi is doing. And so the reason I'm quite passionate about this is because it's a path that I took. I was IT guy by day. And 5 years ago, I made the leap into the unknown. But there was a 2-year period where I was doing both jobs for some time. So I'm living proof that you can do this. So if you're thinking of building your side gig and maybe even thinking about publishing, marketing and selling online courses or membership sites and communities and digital products alongside your current role, well, I'm going to find out more today about how tens of thousands of entrepreneurs are relying on Kajabi to build and manage their online business. And again, you're not on your own here. The company is using technology and help these entrepreneurs generate over $2 billion in sales from nearly 50 million customers today. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to the US, where Ahmed Khan is waiting to speak with us today. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Ahmed Khan. I'm the CEO of a company named Kajabi. A little bit about me. The best way to describe myself is I'm from the Midwest. So kind of born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. Kind of continue to be really unjustifiably proud of that background, and grew up kind of playing sports, really into academics, studying engineering in college, studying engineering in grad school. And made my way out west eventually because I wanted to get into the technology field, and just fast forward a little bit. I've been at Kajabi now for about 2 years. We are a knowledge commerce platform where people can come and build courses, do live coaching, write newsletters, create podcasts that kind of transfer knowledge from one person to another or one person to many. And so we've been at Kajabi for about 2 years now. It's been a fantastic run. And luckily, I get to live in Southern California while I do it.
Well, now you've said you're from Ohio. I've got a rough knowledge of the US geography there. And I've got to say this. When this podcast goes out, the Super Bowl will be long gone. Okay? But I'm going to ask, to pay it forward, obviously, you're going to be cheering on one team, right?
Well, this is a complicated question. So,
okay.
In Ohio, there's 2 teams. One is the Cleveland Browns, which is my, for good or bad, my squad. And the other one is the Cincinnati Bengals. So Cleveland is a city that's right between Chicago and New York, like almost right in the middle. And Cincinnati is about 5 hours southwest of us. Whoa. So to answer your direct question, I will be cheering on the Bengals, but it's not necessarily my team either.
Oh, well, I feel like I put my foot in it now.
No, you're totally fine.
Delivered to you.
It's a big country. No, totally fine. And again, Ohio is a priority here, so we're going for the Bengals.
Are they your fierce rivals? I would imagine, right?
They are. I mean, they are. There's a team near us in Pittsburgh called the Steelers, who we think is our real rivals, but the inter-Ohio dynamic is definitely at play when we play each other for sure.
Oh, man, love it. Well, before we talk about your success, I'd love to learn a little bit more about how my guests got where they are today. So I'm going to ask you, how did you get here? What's your origin story? Where did your passion for tech come from?
Oh, absolutely. So it wasn't something that was, ingrained in me in like child age by any means, right? So
Yeah.
I kind of grew up again in the suburbs of Cleveland. I did study engineering in college, and that started piquing your interest in terms of the applications of what tech did. Um, and kind of the building part of it, which was what really got me excited about the opportunities in that industry. And this is when obviously the proliferation of tech happened in the 80s and 90s, but it continued in the 2000s and obviously through today. And so when I was making career decisions, I wanted to make sure I came from a technical background, so that kind of guided a little bit of the educational path I took. And after I did a stint in kind of financial services, I wanted to transition into an industry where I saw tremendous growth and opportunity that wasn't just intangible, right? Like I could feel it. In high school is when I got my first email address. And as I went into college, you can see technology kind of pervasively making its way into different parts of like my everyday life. And as I kind of started thinking about my career, you want to spend time in areas where there's a lot of growth, a lot of excitement, and a lot of opportunity. So my wife and I decided to move out west to California to kind of get into the industry. So we spent 13, 14 years in Silicon Valley, and I was kind of doing very Silicon Valley things. Did a bunch of startups. Some of them were successful, some of them were not. But the net of all of that experience was a lot of learning that you kind of only get by, frankly, experiencing the good and bad of what technology is and what Silicon Valley is. And, part of the success was I loved building businesses or being parts of businesses that are being built that served kind of the end user was the individual or a small business, right? Enterprise businesses and kind of selling to companies, well, it's a fantastic business model. It's not what really piqued my interest. And the kind of businesses I always liked were the ones where you're trying to add value to the customer who's paying you an on subscription fee. And that way you're having a good transaction, you're providing service, you're providing them value. In return, there's obviously a financial transaction and you're building for that customer. And that's always been my North Star for where I want to spend my time is building for the customer, building fantastic experiences, making life easier for them all along the way while they're trying to build their business. And frankly, that's what led me to Kajabi as well. It's what we've been doing since our founding in 2010 and what we continue to hope to do going forward.
And that path led you to become the CEO of Kajabi, which my understanding is an all-in-one platform for knowledge entrepreneurs and creators to help them build, market and sell educational content. But can you just introduce the listeners who might be hearing about you for the very first time to the kind of problems that you solve and what makes you different from other solutions out there?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. The Kajabi in itself is what you just described, right? We believe that we are the leaders in knowledge commerce, which is the transfer of information from myself to one individual or myself to a group of people, but the ability to do this at scale, right? So our historical core products are focused on courses. So you're trying to build a course to teach people how to forage mushrooms or how to play the guitar or how to do digital marketing or how to manage their personal finances. Like the type of content on our platform is the long tail of the internet, which is all sorts of people transferring all sorts of knowledge via Kajabi. And to your point, what we enable is a very low friction version of building those businesses. So a lot of times you have a company that'll do just course creation or just website building or just marketing. And what Kajabi enables is that entire suite of products you need to build online businesses to have a one-stop shop for that. So you can build your website on Kajabi, you can build your courses on Kajabi, you can take payment via Kajabi, you can have your CRM in Kajabi. So everything you need to actually build that online business exists within Kajabi and provides a lot of value to our customers because then they don't have to log into different tools and pay different vendors for disparate parts of this stack of technology need to be successful. Kajabi powers it all.
And I've got to ask, the name Kajabi, is there a story there? Where did that come from?
There is. I think, again, our founder, the company's been around for about 11 or 12 years now, so it's 2010. There's a town in, I believe in Australia called Kajabi. It's spelled slightly different. And it's named after kind of this night hawk. And the concept there is it's the idea of Kajabi is kind of to take flight. And so it's kind of a nod to what entrepreneurship is. It's like a lot of the times people have these ideas, but they're kind of hesitant to kind of go out there and try. And Kajabi is a nod to the opportunity of just like taking flight, try it, see what happens. You never know what will happen until you try. And that's kind of the origin story behind the name.
Oh man, how cool is that? Oh,
Yeah, it's cool.
brilliant.
It's really cool.
Now, I have been reading a lot recently, along with everybody, because it's been almost unavoidable about the Great Resignation. But rather
Yeah.
than leaving the day job, but do that bit again about the Great Resignation. But rather than leaving the job, when I did this, I mean, it was 5 years ago. I built a side gig to make sure it worked
Yeah.
before leaving the corporate world behind. But can you tell me how people can keep their day jobs and monetize their expertise without significant risk or time or capital expenditure? Because I think it's a bit of a myth, isn't it, that you've got to just leave everything and put all your eggs in one basket when you can. There is time to do both, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we have customers on our platform who definitely do both, right? We have people who are doing this full time on the back of Kajabi. We have people who are just starting out and trying to figure out if this is something that will work for them, like you did about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And we have people kind of in between who are thinking, all right, let me have one more good year, then I'm going to do this full time.
Yeah.
And so I think the best way to describe it is from a capital expenditure perspective, we're in the knowledge commerce business, right? So we don't have the dynamics of a lot of inventory or supply chain issues. For us, it's kind of just spending time building your site, building your courses, writing your newsletter, doing your podcasts. And there's not a lot of money that goes into it. It's just a bit of time that we try and make really easy for you on the back end. And that's why we think Kajabi is positioned really well for the Great Resignation, one-stop shop, a lot of different trends we're at the nexus of. But to your point, we have customers doing all sorts of things. We never want to pressure anybody to kind of go in one way or another, because entrepreneurship is not a linear path and there's not one way to do it. And we really believe in it. But our platform is there to help you along the way at every step that we can. And we want to make sure that we continue to build a product that helps people do it as a side gig or do it as a full-time employment. It kind of depends on what that entrepreneur wants. But we have all sorts of different examples of people doing different levels of full-time, part-time, weekends. But again, the goal here is to build a really easy way to get knowledge out there and frankly, build a business with that knowledge too. It's not just to put it out into the ether and not develop a revenue stream here. We're serious about business because we know our entrepreneurs are serious about their businesses, and we want to support the entrepreneurial journey in the knowledge economy.
And as the ex-IT guy, armed with a curious mind there, can you tell me a little bit more about the technology that makes all that possible and what's going on under the hood?
Yeah, of course. You know, we are. It's built on Ruby on Rails is the kind of foundation of it.
Yeah.
And as we have scaled it, that's based off of a lot of the things we've seen in the market and the ability of what Ruby does for you as you build businesses and frankly build adjacent tools on top of Kajabi. So that's kind of the tech stack. But as we think about scaling different parts of the business, whether that's Heroku or AWS, there's a bunch of different tools that we use to kind of pull it all together. But what we're really focused on is getting the best of breed infrastructure so we continue to have a place that is reliable. Like reliability for us is a big deal because obviously when you're dealing with people's income and dealing with people's businesses, you need to be there 24/7. And we're really focused on building the right technology infrastructure that is always there for our customers as they continue to scale. And obviously we continue to scale after their success.
And one of the things that put you on my radar, one of the reasons I was excited to get you on the podcast today was when I read the story of, I think it was Dr. Jamie Wilkie, and they earned $230,000 in 2021, all through her online class that teaches pharmacists how to use personalized medicine and change the trajectory of their careers. But can you share that story for anyone that missed it? Because it's phenomenal, isn't it, what she achieved?
Oh, absolutely. Dr. Wilkie, first of all, we're just thrilled that she's on our platform and she chose Kajabi to kind of build this business. And I think it's a great example of the types of businesses that can be built here. Like earlier I mentioned, we have mushroom foragers, we have how to pass your fireman's exam, but we also have pharmacists trying to do things that seem niche but have a big market. And what she does, I think she specializes in, I think it's essentially called personalized medicine. There's a technical term for it called pharmacogenomics, if I'm even pronouncing that correctly. Yeah. But the concept here was she was a pharmacist kind of working like pharmacists do and saw an opportunity to help train other pharmacists in this kind of methodology within her industry. And she chose Kajabi because of because of our ability to build courses and scale them. So this is her opportunity to build these courses, market them to her her colleagues, and bring them in and train them in what she's learning about personalized medicine. And she came into Kajabi via one of our idea to income challenges, which is an opportunity for us to bring in new customers into what knowledge commerce can be and help train them in terms of setting up their business, right? So we have webinars, we have customer service calls, we have all sorts of tools and resources that help kind of guide entrepreneurs in the early stages of building their knowledge commerce business. And hers is kind of what you would think is a niche business, but as you can see, it's building $230,000 in a relatively short order. And I think she's planning on doubling that this year. And she's all in on it, right? So again, this is an example of somebody who was kind of exploring at first, but kind of jumped right in. And it's been a fantastic journey for her. And we want to just make sure we support people like her as she continues to build her business and find more of those people to make sure they choose Kajabi as their place to do it.
It really is an inspirational story. When I first heard that and I dug a little bit deeper, I quickly learned that is just one of many stories, because I then read that I think you've helped entrepreneurs generate something like $3 billion in sales from nearly 60 million customers today. Can you expand on that too? Because it feels like a real big success story in the tech world.
Oh, it really is. It's one of those stories which you don't hear about, partly because of the history of the business. So our founder, Kenny Reeder, started Kajabi in 2010, and kind of not in Silicon Valley in California, but in Irvine, California. And his approach was, just radical focus on the customer, and that built a tremendous business. And the concept here was we've been around for about 12 years. We've been serving creators or knowledge creators for that entire period, and as a result, you're able to drive a lot of revenue for our customers and access to huge amounts of their own customers on Kajabi over the last 12 years. To your point, $3 billion of revenue has gone through our ecosystem. Right now, annually, we power, going forward, about $2 billion. So we're a growing business. The GMV, or the revenue that flows through our ecosystem, is up 3.5 times over the last 2 years. So we're in the early stages of what people are calling the creator economy or the knowledge economy. But Kajabi's been doing this for a long time, and we've been the choice of many entrepreneurs over the years. And we just want to continue to be that place where we radically focus on our customers. And we believe that we build the right products, build the right experiences for them, they'll continue to choose us, they'll continue to make more money. As a result, Kajabi does well after our customers do well, and we want to continue with that orientation as we take it from 2 billion to hopefully more and more as the year goes on, and people become more aware of what the creator economy is, or what knowledge economy is, because we honestly believe this is just the early innings of a big shift to online commerce, and we're positioned very well in that.
And I'm quite conscious we've probably set off a few light bulbs in people listening all over the world. And they've probably been reading about the Great Resignation, and then all of a sudden they're now thinking, so hang on a minute, I can keep my day job, I can monetize my expertise without any risk or time and capital expenditure. So for those people listening who we've lit that spark in, how does it work? Can you walk me through how somebody would get set up and get up and running?
Oh, absolutely. Well, first you come to kajabi.com and join a trial. And once you start one of our trials, you come into our product, and we try to walk you through the different steps of building different knowledge products, is what we call them. So again, we'll start with courses. We have a fantastic knowledge and training center that have videos that walk you through step-by-step how to set up your first course, how to set up your website, how to take payment, how to manage your marketing list, how to send marketing emails. A lot of knowledge and training is behind what Kajabi does. So it's not just a technology platform. We also have a fantastic team of customer support agents who help kind of whenever you need it. You want to hop on live chat, we have that. You want to get on a video call with somebody and walk them through a problem you're having, we'll do that with you as well. There's a lot of TLC that goes into this, because we believe that it's not entrepreneurship in itself is not the easiest thing in the world, but we want to be there with you every step of the way and help guide you to the point where you start building content, putting content out there, selling content, monetize that content. Once you make that first dollar, you can just feel that this is an opportunity, and we want to kind of continue to help you build that revenue base for you. And to your point, you can be doing it full-time, part-time, on the weekends, however you decide it. But Kajabi has an entire suite of products and a team that will help walk you to success as much as we can. and provide you with the knowledge and training to help you get there. And on the back of that, we're hoping that a lot of customers see the same type of success that Dr. Wilkie has seen, because we have many, many examples of people who weren't sure if they wanted to do it, did it, and all of a sudden got fantastic success. And that's the kind of things we want to celebrate at our company.
And as for yourselves, what's next for you? Where do you go from here? Because it feels like you've achieved phenomenal success here, and you've got a great audience, great customer base. But where do you go from here? Where do you go?
I think we just focus on the customer. Nothing else matters. And for us, it is continue to innovate on the products that we have. So I think, I keep mentioning we have courses, we have newsletters, coaching, podcasts. We want to continue to make those experiences fantastic. And we want to listen to our customers and understand other knowledge products that they want to have built and ways for them to monetize their expertise in different ways, right? And that can take you down all sorts of different paths. But our real focus here is to keep our ear to the ground, keep talking to the people who are coming into our ecosystem, understand what's happening in our market. Because as you know, the creator economy has become kind of a buzzword over the last year and a half, 2 years. But we've been here for a long time. We want to continue to what we do very well, which is customer-centric product development. And think about, we know where the market's moving and make sure we have a play there, but not forgetting where we come from either. So growth for us is, it's an exciting moment because, again, I think this is the early innings of what's happening in terms of online commerce. And the concept of knowledge versus physical goods is something that I think people are just getting attuned to. We continue to believe we're the leader in that market. And as people start thinking about, where to build their businesses, we just got to continue to do a better job of making sure people know who Kajabi is to a bigger audience. And we're hopefully going to spend more time there, making sure we can tell our customer stories, talk about the Dr. Wilkies of the world, again, because we have so many examples of entrepreneurs who have success in our platform, and celebrate them. And hopefully also, tell the world that this success is happening on Kajabi. You too can do it. And that's kind of the way we want to build for the future.
And we began the podcast talking about your origin story. So as we come full circle, I'm now going to ask if there's a song, piece of music, movie or book or anything that has inspired or helped you in your career, so we can leave the listeners on an inspirational note too, and maybe they can take away something that you've learned. So is there anything that springs to mind then? Yeah,
I'm trying to think through, books wise, I don't typically read, hardcore business books. I like books with frameworks, right? So the way I think about it is, there was a PDF that went around a couple of years ago, which I think got turned into a book by Ray Dalio called Principles. And it talked about kind of it was frankly, a pretty assertive version of what I like to think about a lot, but the way to interact with your colleagues, right? I think a better version of this is Radical Candor by Kim Scott, which I know a lot of people talk about. And this concept of, caring about somebody personally, but being able to challenge them directly is something that we try to think about a lot at Kajabi, because we want, frankly, one of our ideas or principles is best idea wins. And in order to do that, you have to have an environment where people kind of definitely care about each other, but also can challenge each other. And so when I think about things that have affected my philosophy around management or business, I think the concept of radical candor is something that I continue to come back to and benefit from, because you want to create an environment where people can bring their best to work and speak in a safe environment while feeling cared for, but also being pushed for the best idea to win. And so I think Radical Candor is a great example of that. I think Principles does a lot of that as well, though from a different view. And when I think about the way we try to build at Kajabi, those two books have been pretty influential for me.
Awesome. Well, I'll add those to our wish list. But before I let you go, for anyone listening wanting to find out more information, maybe begin by signing up to Kajabi, etc.
That's right.
What's the best way of doing that? Is it just kajabi.com? Is that right?
Yeah, just go to kajabi.com, hit start a trial, and you'll start a 14-day trial at Kajabi. And as soon as you're in, would love for all knowledge entrepreneurs to kind of start developing on the platform. And if you need somebody to talk to, we have a fantastic customer support experience and team who can get on calls with you live, but also a fantastic knowledge and trading center. So you're not doing this alone. We're there with you every step of the way. And we just want to continue to support knowledge entrepreneurs as they kind of take this journey and take this first step and hopefully what is a successful path for all of them.
Well, I always say on this podcast that technology works best when it brings people together. And I love how you probably don't realise this, but there's people listening all over the world. You probably lit that spark in someone that's thinking, hey, I can keep my job and monetize my expertise without any risk. And I'd love to hear anything from anybody that listens to this episode and then goes on to make a success of that. So anybody that does that, please let me know. But more than anything, just thank you for sharing your story with me today.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for the time. Really appreciate it.
There were some mouth-watering stats in there, wasn't there? Helping entrepreneurs generate $2 billion in sales from nearly 50 million customers today. I also love the real example there of, I think it was Jamie Wilkie, earning $230,000 in 2021, all through her online class that teaches pharmacists how to use personalised medicine to change the trajectory of their careers. We all have to serve someone. We've all got our area of expertise. And you don't have to only have a day job or only have a side gig or only have your own business. You can do both. But if anybody else has followed this path or used Kajabi, I'd love to know your thoughts, whether they be good, bad, indifferent. I just want to get everyone's thoughts and experiences on here. So as always, email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram @Neil C. Hughes. And if you'd like to work with me, you can get me on techblogwriter.co.uk, where I write business blogs, thought leadership blogs, and ghostwrite for CEOs, etc. And also help people and businesses launch their podcast who don't want to be dragged down with editing audio files and setting up RSS feeds. But enough from me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another guest. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.